Hello, family. My name is Chris Francis, and this is Kidney Chronicles with Chris. Um, I guess this is a podcast that I am beginning today. Today is July 2nd, Thursday, July 2nd, 2026. And last week, last Tuesday evening, just short of 7 o'clock on June 23rd, I got a phone call from a young lady saying that she was calling from the VCU transplant team, which is where um, I have been on the kidney transplant list. That's who I was registered with. And uh, she said that she was calling with an offer for me for a kidney. Um, and she told me about the kidney. And well, I asked her if I could uh, call and conference my wife in because my wife was on her way home from work, and I did that. And then she, asked us a series of questions, health related, recent stuff, all kinds of things from if you're sick or have you been hospitalized in the last, you know, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, whatever. Have you, slipped and fallen, or just a whole bunch of questions. I think she had like 20 or 25 questions, and then after you go through that, then she kind of goes through the kidney with you and tells you a little bit about it. And I don't know if you know, but they give you a score for for the organ, and so she goes through the whole process, and I ultimately accepted the offer, which was an absolute surprise um, that it happened so quick for me because I've actually been on the kidney transplant uh, waiting list since January of 2024. But you can be on the list and you can be either active or inactive. And so initially when you're put on in what's called an inactive status. So you are technically on there and you are accruing your time, right? But um, you're not actually able to receive any offers yet. And what happens in that time frame from going from inactive to active um, is a lot of testing. They do a lot of testing, a lot of scanning. I forget what the thing is called when they basically like it's not an EKG, maybe like a sonogram. Like when they look for like a baby, it's kind of like a sonogram. And what they do is they are scanning like your body because when you get a new kidney, they don't actually take one of your other kidneys out. So um, so you actually want to having three kidneys. So the new kidney actually is placed in the lower right side of your stomach and abdomen, um, and it's put in there for easy access in case anything ever goes wrong, if it ever gets rejected, or if it ever fails, or if there's ever any complications. There's easy access for them to get to. Um, and so what they do is they they scan, because they have to find the exact place where it's going to go, because obviously it has to connect um, to the veins and arteries and things like that, and then they also have to find a way to connect the ureter, um, which I think moves like the urine, um, down through the kidney. So I think I wound up having like four of those, right? And then there's a lot of other, testing that has to be done. And they're always testing your blood, and just a lot of stuff happens. They also go through um, your your financial part. You know, um, you have to have obviously insurance. A lot of times you will have Medicaid or Medicare, and so they have to go through and make sure that that's um, all in line. You also have to have um, uh, pharmacy prescriptions, because once you have your transplant, you go on a lot of medication, and you may be on a lot of medication before that, just to stabilize, depending upon how bad your kidneys are. Which, if you're on a kidney transplant list, I'm sure your kidneys are already pretty bad. You may likely, uh, highly likely, be on dialysis. I was. Uh, I've been on dialysis since um, April of 2025. So I was only on dialysis for 14 months, which um, I think was great, you know. And I was trying to get uh, my uh, transplant, before I had to go on dialysis, but I wasn't that fortunate. But um, I think back on it now, and the inconvenience of dialysis. I actually thank God for the experience, because the appreciation that I have for the kidney now is utterly incredible. Because I'm not a really old guy. I'm 48. Um, I live a pretty active life. Um, I'm a licensed real estate agent, and I do a lot of things. And when you, I was on what's called PD, or peritoneal dialysis, which is done from home, and I'm on this machine for 8 hours every night, uh, generally 6 days a week. As long as my numbers stay at a certain point, they told me I could take one night a week off, and generally I took Friday or Saturday night off, and just didn't do it. But it's tough, if you're an active person, and your schedule is kind of up and down. You're always having to balance, what you have to do the next day. If I have an 8 o'clock appointment, tomorrow in the morning, 8 a.m., I've got to, kind of back that time out, that, it's going to take me an hour and 20 minutes to break the machine down and then reset it. If I don't break it down when I come off in the morning, sometimes I come off in the morning and I can break it down then. If I'm in a rush, I don't. Which means that night I've got to break it down and then reset it up again for that night. And so that can take me an hour and 20 minutes, you know, and, so, and then you've got to count the 8 hours that you've got to be on there. Then you've got to count, another 5 or 10 minutes to unhook or to come off of it, because there's a process that you have to go through to come off of it. You can't, you have to wash your hands a particular way. It's just a lot of things that have to, be done. And so, it's not a 1, 2, 3 type of thing. And, so all that has to be factored into your next day's schedule, and it's kind of like putting a, it's like playing Tetris, a lot of times, and you're trying to, figure things out. And there was sometimes I just couldn't figure it out. So, and sometimes it's not even that you can't figure it out. It's just, sometimes it's just not able. You're not able to. You know, if you're coming in late in the evening, late at night, by the time you eat and unwind, I talk to my wife, whatever, and then break the machine down, set it back up. You know, if I've got to be, uh, sorry about that. If I've got to be, somewhere at 8 a.m., and I need to be on the machine, by 10:30, to be done by, 6:30, to then get up and get showered and get dressed and get to where I'm going. Um, and I don't, get in and get situated until 11, sometimes 12 o'clock at night, then there's just no way, you know. So there's a lot to it. Anyway, so I just said all that to say that I'm really, really appreciative now for the experience, and I know that I appreciate not having to do it anymore, because when I got up Tuesday morning and I got off the machine, I had no idea when I came off the machine last Tuesday morning that I would never go back on that machine again. Right. So I get a call that night, and we go through everything. Like I said, I accept the kidney, and they're like, okay, well, you got to be up here by 1 a.m. Now it's by now it's like, I don't know, 7:30, 7:45, in the evening, and I live in Virginia Beach, and the hospital's in Richmond, so it's almost 2 hours away. You know, so my wife comes home, we start packing, and I don't know about you, but I hadn't told a lot of people about what was happening with me. Um, Short of some very very close friends, nobody really knew. And so I was in the middle of a real estate deal, and we were in the middle of negotiations where I was representing a seller selling their house, and we were under contract, and we were negotiating repairs. And so literally I had to call my broker and let her know what was going on, and basically pass the ball back to her in the deal, so that my clients, didn't lose the sale of their house. I had to forward her all the emails for the estimates, um, all the paperwork, just everything. I had to catch her up on everything. Fortunately, she had already been abreast of most of it, but then I had to forward it all to her. Then I had to call and actually talk to my clients, who of course didn't know. So I had to tell them, hey, I'm having to pass you up to my broker, because, I just, I've been on kidney transplant waiting list for 2.5 years, and I just got a call for a kidney, and I gotta go. And of course, everybody was happy, like, man, don't worry about it. Go, take care of your health. But it's what I had to do, and then I had to call my closing attorney, and let them know. So it was, just a lot happening in a little bit of time, and so yeah, it was crazy. So we got there about 1 a.m. And they said we got there about 12:15, 12:20 ish. We got up there and checked in. Of course, they had a room and everything ready for me, and let us up there, and got us checked in and vital signs, and got me dressed out and everything. And they said, everything, if everything went well, I'd be in surgery by 7 a.m. Wednesday morning. And it was a little bit delayed, but I think my wife said I went in at about 8:20 Wednesday morning, and it was only about, I think, about 4 hours, a 4 hour procedure, and um, came out, um, went to recovery, and then I came back up to the room. I don't remember recovery at all. Uh, the first thing I remember, I was actually back in my room, and yeah, that's the first thing I remember, being back in the room. And so now, I am, what's today, Thursday? So I am, what, 8 days out. And so I went in Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, um, had surgery Wednesday. I got released Tuesday, 2 days ago. I went home, and I've got my first follow-up appointment with the team today. So 2 days later, this morning at 11 a.m. So I'm actually getting ready to leave here shortly, and so this is my first follow-up with them. But they said everything was going very, very well. They were very, very pleased with the kidney. I actually got a kidney of a 20-year-old. So, you know, obviously I feel bad for the family because, for me to get a kidney, that means that they lost a son that was a 20-year-old male, um, and you know, uh, and that's pretty tough, um, but I'm 1,000% grateful for it. 1,000% grateful for it, and I already know it's going to be an absolute life changer, and I'm just looking forward to everything that's to come, you know. And I just wanted to chronicle the process of what happens, because there's so much to say, to talk about, to break down from, you know, how it starts, because there are many, many different ways that kidney disease starts, or can start. You can have, direct issues with a number of different kidney disorders that are direct kidney disorders. Um, and then they can be caused by other illnesses, right? Like lupus, for example. I know lupus is a disease that, from what I understand, can attack many different parts of the body, right? Um, but the way it attacks individuals, it's different, and it's so with me, I also have sickle cell disease. I was born with sickle cell disease, and a lot of people are not familiar with sickle cell and what that really is, but it's a blood disorder. You can look it up, but it turns the blood cells from these round cylindrical shapes that they are naturally, that helps them flow and not, just kind of bump into each other and kind of keep moving until like a sickle shape, you know. And when they do that, they can they don't move as fluidly, and they can get stuck, and they can get hooked on each other, and they can back up your blood, kind of, slow down your blood flow, and just a lot of different things, and it causes um, really, really extreme pain crisis. And so um, I was born with that, and was really really sick um, from it. As a really little boy, you know, and then I got to a point in life. It was probably about, I don't know, um, probably 10 or 11, and it stopped bothering me. I kind of felt I had outgrown it. Actually, um, had not had a crisis in years from the time I was probably, like I said, 10 or 11 until I think I want to say that was like uh, 2010 or 2011. So yeah, I was like 35 or 36. So from like 11 to 12 to like 36. So, you know, uh, 20 something years, I had not had a crisis at all. And, did everything I wanted to. I spent almost 10 years in law enforcement, which was amazing. Um, I drove uh, tractor trailers over the road for almost 15 years. So I did a lot. And then something happened one day and triggered it again. And I'll go into that. I won't even say what that is because that's going to be controversial to a lot of people. But I will go into that and explain to you why I believe, why I'm sure. Um, something happened to me medically that reactivated it and reinitiated it. And uh, I'll go into that in great detail later on in another video. But ever since then, um, the sickle cell has kind of, been on a rise, but it's still very well maintained, but it definitely had an uptick and I still don't really have crisis like I used to. I still don't have that. Um, my biggest issue with sickle cell is maintaining a decent hemoglobin, meaning level of blood in my body. So I also have to have blood transfusions like once a month. You know, um, so I do have pain, but I don't have like, I mean, it's bad enough, but it's not like super severe pain like it was when I was a little kid growing up, where it hospitalized me, for 7, 8, 10 days at a time. I don't, I haven't been hospitalized for a crisis even after everything has happened. I just have pain, and you either learn to live with it, which tells you, it's bad enough, but it's not um, unbearable. And realistically, all I do for it is I just take Tylenol. You know, um, some days I take more than others. Sometimes I take more than I should. Probably, but uh, it does get pretty bad at times. But nothing that would put me into the hospital for any amount of time. At least, not to this point. And so I don't foresee that happening. But that's my story. And again, I just wanted to chronicle it because again, there's so much to the process, you know, of how you get your kidney disease, to how you get on a waiting list because there's a process you have to go and you have to sit down with a team, and the team has to accept you. As a matter of fact, there was a team closer to me at Norfolk General Hospital, and my doctor talked to them and kind of went through, my history with them, and they were like, well, it seems a little more complicated um, for us, and so they recommended her to contact the team at VCU. When I went to see them, and they accepted me, and so uh, there are levels, I guess, to the skill and the knowledge of a team, you know, experience, all that plays a part, and then your personal health, because you don't always qualify, you know, um, for a team to accept you. Because, like I said, Norfolk General's team, they didn't want to accept me. They didn't even want to, interview me. I went up to VCU. You have to go up, and they interview you. They talk to you, and you present. Yeah, I'm ready. Give me 2 seconds, and you kind of go through that, and they kind of look at all your medical records, all your history, your blood work, everything, and it's and then kind of go from there. Um, this is my first video. Again, I will be chronicling, and I will be doing this um, quite frequent. So, if you have any questions, put them out in the comments. You can also email me, uh, Kidney Chronicles with Chris at yahoo.com. Again, I'm Chris Francis, and thanks for following along. I appreciate you, okay? Enjoy your day. Enjoy your 4th of July. Be safe, all right?